We're on now.
Okay, we are.
We're going to recess to go and invest in, okay,
Yep.
and just take a look, and we'll report on that in open session.
Yep.
And it won't take us long, but we're on. Okay.
All right, good.
I would like to, since we have a quorum at this point in time, to recess the meeting briefly to go and investigate into some of the water damage and other issues of concern in the lower levels of the building, so that we could potentially take some action to remediate problems noted. I guess we can just do that.
you said not yet.
Okay. Probably thought we gave up.
Almost did.
Okay, we're good.
We reconvene the meeting at 3:52 after having made inspections
We can leave that open.
in various areas of
It's
the
open
building.
session. We can leave it open.
It's not executive session.
Yeah, no, I did because of AC.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
gotcha.
Okay, we're back in session, and obviously, there's lots to comment on, but I don't know if commenting on everything we've seen is probably the most appropriate or easiest way to begin to solve the problems that we've noted. I guess the recommendation from the town administrator, as you see it, I look at it as sort of a multi-phase attack on some of the problems that we've seen. We have drainage problems, obviously. We have water infiltration problems beyond that. We have a need to evaluate the, shall we say, technology rooms where the wiring is made available to us, fire departments, fire plans, and what else do we have in there? We have the tape cable. So we have areas where we have lots and lots of wiring for important functions in the building that we need to ensure are properly not only taken care of, but obviously cooled if necessary and so forth. We have areas.
Archived records.
Yeah,
where-
we have records rooms that need to be addressed because they need to be more safely preserved, those records. They're still subject to water damage. We also have areas that probably have a lot of stuff that's been left over over the years, which need to be cleaned out. We need to have the building inspector make some recommendations regarding the second egress and down in the main area of the building, which is be the front stairs and the two large front doors that lead to those stairs. I could go on. You want to add anything to that?
It's quite a list. I think our biggest challenge is going to be prioritizing. Well, maybe not the biggest challenge, but probably one of the first challenges will be prioritizing. Funding will probably be a bigger challenge.
Yeah.
But I think ultimately, it definitely seems like the drainage issue is probably one of the higher priorities, along with cleaning up from the current flooding damage.
Yeah.
And then preserving rooms that weren't impacted, but certainly could have been.
Mhm. Well, I think there's a strong need to, some stuff we can do quite easily, just needs to be cleaned up so we could get a more, shall we say, safe evaluation of what we're actually dealing with in some of the rooms. We have to be able to see, and some of the stuff that's been left over by events that happen, that things got stored away that are no longer necessary, appropriate, that need to be discarded. Lots of that kind of work that we certainly can do simultaneously with the drainage problems, which I think, I agree with you, are some of our first priorities. The HVAC system and its vulnerability because of the water issues, obviously we have to address. The concern that I have is on Friday night at 9 o'clock, the only person that I have to call is the town clerk, because I know her area where she works was already infiltrated by water the day or two before. And to depend on the old superintendent of schools to know about drainage problems and boiler problems is probably not the best thing to do. We were fortunate that we were able to look at situations and get some help and assistance from other townsmen, because we do not have a plant and facilities department, nor do we have an individual or a company that would manage or provide us with a person or persons to call to say, we have a serious drainage problem, we have a serious breach in one of our water systems, whatever. We don't have anybody to call. And thinking that we can call one or all three of the selectmen and they can resolve it is probably pretty naive at best. So I know that even having an examination of what our most vulnerable places are, we need expertise to do that, right?
Yeah.
So I guess phase one might be trying to ascertain the scope of the problems and then figuring out, do we want to get a company that comes in and evaluates our drainage issues, makes recommendations? I don't know. I'm just Do we want someone who comes in and evaluates the HVAC system and says, you know, this is what you do in 3 years, this is what should happen in 5 years? Because I don't think anybody's done that. We have no documents that say that's been done. We know the building inspector can be helpful in some areas, but we may need assistance beyond him. So Greg, a recommendation from someone with your many years of experience in these areas?
So it's a handful,
Hmm.
what we saw.
Mm.
Certainly looking at the drainage and the heating system, to me, would be the top two priorities.
Mhm.
Mhm.
We need to bring in someone with some expertise. I mean, determine why there was so much water that
Yeah,
came in. Not sure whether it's clogged gutters or drainage pipes that aren't hooked up, but
right.
that would be the most immediate concern.
Mhm.
And bringing someone with some expertise. And I don't know anyone in this area that does that, but
There's gotta be someone.
there's gotta be people.
There's gotta be companies that do that.
Oh, there's no
Oh,
doubt
for
in my
sure.
mind.
Yeah,
We could always put out a RFQ,
Yeah.
just a request for qualifications from
Yes.
different companies,
Yeah.
something along those lines.
Yeah.
I mean, certainly just with the boiler room, even with a sump pump, at some point, if the volume coming in is greater than what it can put out, it's gonna cause damage at some point.
and I would say that the sump pump is questionable as well. It didn't sort of get.
It looked kind of old.
Well, it
Yeah.
didn't kind of get started till the guy went down and shook it. So we're
Mhm.
really a little concerned about that.
You don't want that to be
No.
how you're something.
Well, the concern
Right.
obviously that I have is, it is our responsibility and obligation to do this and to fix this stuff. And
Mhm.
I would say that this is something that we have to really put a primary, you know, a kind of goal in and say, we can't just say, well, the next board can fix it.
No,
Okay, it has to be this board that fixes it.
right.
And if not fixes it in its entirety, gets it on the road to, you know, getting it tooled out. I would say that the town clerk has been more than magnanimous to work in that environment where you've been with water infiltration for not only this storm, but other storms as well. Carpeting that needs to be replaced, but obviously not replaced until we can get the water situation straightened out. We have drainage issues in the back where there's an egress there where there needs to be some work. So if you had to use it as an egress, you're not surprised to know that you're stepping into 12 inches of water
You know?
before you can get on solid ground. So lots of things that need some immediate attention, but we have to sort of still have a plan,
Mhm.
and a plan that has probably phase 1, 2, 3, 4 maybe.
I agree.
Five.
And it needs to be funded. I'm not saying that some of the stuff will not be exorbitantly expensive, but other things could well be. You know, fixing the HVAC system or replacing it. At least the boilers would probably be one of the more costly
Yeah, I would
situations.
agree.
We did have the opportunity to look at areas where we will be seeking not only the sort of what the technology people would say, this is the best system for recording meetings,
Mhm.
to put in the third floor, which we need to do some cleanup to make that happen, and also the senior center. So those things were obviously our HVAC, or shall we say, plant and facilities things.
Yep.
I know that when Jessica was here, she had conversations with the then superintendent of schools and their business, and their their plant and facilities director. And there was conversation about contracting with them to be on call to the three buildings, the town hall, this building, and so forth. Because not having anyone who works for us or is contracted with us to call when there is a grievous event
Yeah.
that we can't fix. I mean, because quite frankly, if it had been worse than that, the boilers would have been wherever the boilers are. Because I made, outreach to DPW, but DPW was out on the roads here, there, and everywhere. So obviously, and this building is not their responsibility. I was just hoping for help. And it wasn't the kind of thing where the fire department could necessarily stop the water. They might have been able to do a little pumping, but again, it's, something that we've really got to figure out what to do and how to, and plan to do it.
Right, we need to be proactive in maintaining the assets that we have here,
Yeah.
or it'll be much, much more expensive later on.
Yeah.
or potentially lost.
And probably, the people will sit and want to, complain about what happened 10 years ago and that it wasn't fixed then, or that it wasn't fixed 5 years ago. I get that. But it's going to get fixed now. The worst that can happen is we'll go to town meeting with a plan and a proposal, and maybe it won't get voted. I don't believe that. I believe when and if they were able to come in here and look at what needs to be fixed, it's just regular maintenance that's been delayed.
Mhm.
And so our ability to kind of get that done between now and the summer town meeting is critical.
And then create a path to invest in upkeep instead of
Yeah.
having to continually invest in repairs that could have
Yeah.
been prevented through upkeep.
Ellen?
Would it be feasible to have, to think about putting on staff a maintenance and facility position? Because when you think about it, we have the Henry Woods building, we have the library, we have the police station, we have all the fire stations, we've got the
That's
senior
true.
center.
Mhm.
We've got all these buildings.
That's true.
The town hall.
And I think even, I'd be concerned about sharing services.
You're right when you
because-
mention all those
and
other
if-
buildings.
And if we've got a major catastrophe or major drainage, most likely, a lot of the other buildings, they're gonna have issues too.
Oh,
at the
every
same
building has
time.
issues, yes,
And it's
true.
all gonna happen at the same time, so then we're gonna be waiting, push,
Yeah, yeah.
everyone's gonna take a
Yeah,
number until.
yeah.
Mhm.
I mean,
But I just think there's too much
and
buildings.
the problem is, finding that person is really a challenge.
In this environment,
In
it's
this,
even more of a challenge.
but it doesn't mean that they're not there, I agree with you. But what that person has to do is have access to a budget where he or she is maintaining, okay, as you've just pointed out, preventative maintenance,
Yeah.
because that's critically important.
And maybe
I
two
think
people,
considering
maybe it's two
Yeah.
people and one little department.
Yeah.
Or something where the two of them can
Yeah.
maintain.
Because you
Yeah,
do make.
I think it would be worth looking at the cost and benefit of having someone on staff versus contracting out. There's certainly benefits to contracting out where
Mhm.
if if potentially there are more resources, different people with different expertise that could be involved in different ways. But also if someone is knowledgeable enough to be full-time or part-time staff that could run that, that's, I think it's worth considering both options and seeing which would be a better benefit for
Yeah,
the town,
agreed.
both for, for depth of knowledge and also for cost effective.
Well, I know that probably our next steps would be probably sitting down with you, Greg, and sort of roughing out
Putting together
a plan.
a plan. Yeah,
Okay.
I would agree.
And I think obviously that either, I know Mark's tied up he's at his own home with some issues of, shall we say, maintenance that he needs to take care of today. So I don't want to wait until our next meeting, which I think is not until I know you and I are meeting.
Our next meeting will be at the
Playgrounds.
playgrounds,
Yeah,
starting, I believe, at High Plains and then
Yeah.
going to Rice Park after that. And that'll be posted soon.
yeah.
And then
Yeah.
it is, okay. So we have an agenda all set for that? Or,
Well, basically, it's.
we'll get it
an
updated. Yeah,
an
we have time to get
opportunity.
that updated.
I put
Yeah.
something there,
Placeholder.
yes.
Awesome. So, so then our next meeting wouldn't be until 2 weeks after that,
Yeah.
which would be
August 21st.
August 21st? Okay,
So,
Well, that's.
yeah,
that would make sense.
you
For
mentioned that.
so, I mean, I would like to really move on even before
I can put
that.
together some ideas on a plan,
Okay.
share it internally.
Yes, that would be great,
I think it's kind of right, there's no reason to wait until the 21st to put pen to paper
agreed,
and put some ideas down.
yeah.
Based upon what we saw today.
And I know Mark's had the opportunity to see the boiler room and other
He
issues,
did.
so he has that information as well.
Right.
So.
And anyone on the board can give you feedback on whatever
feedback.
plan you've prepared, and we can,
Yeah, I think it's how, let me put pen to paper.
yeah. And then at that meeting, we can actually come together and discuss
Right.
between everyone.
And some of the things that we have to do are as simple as getting a great big dumpster.
Yep.
And getting
Mhm.
rid of some of the stuff that's just been, just in case we need it, since 1980.
Yep.
So now, some of the stuff just needs our time and attention to say, yeah, take this, get this, and that sort of thing.
Mhm.
But, so some of that we can get started on as well.
Seems to be the repository of decorations from
From
yesteryear.
years past, yeah, in some places.
Yeah.
And more rooms than I ever thought existed, and little cubbies and all this stuff, and people found them.
I don't even know what to say about some of the places I saw.
Yeah,
A lot of little weird places under stairs you can kind of get to.
yeah.
Yeah, especially that one spot we saw.
So our action today then is to ask you, Greg, to
Yeah.
place, put some things to writing. We'll be contributing
I will, I'm gonna.
individually
get
to
on
you,
it, yeah.
saying, hey, what about this, what about that?
Yeah.
And if you do know of anybody, or if you have seen an RFQ around you think is something we might mirror,
Yeah, I mean, we can, the only one I know that we've done recently was for the CBDG grant. We could kind of look
Yeah.
at that for inspiration,
yeah.
so to speak, but it would be quite wildly different from that.
Yeah,
But
well, there may be some Central Mass Regional Planning may be able to even give us an idea of what they,
yeah, I can ask there as well. I
Yeah.
was actually, spoke with Chris about the CBDG grant this morning and invited him if he wanted to come out to our next meeting at the park, if you wanted to talk to anyone
oh, great,
in the Southbury area, because that's where that grant is focused.
okay.
So,
Greg, was I gonna ask you, obviously, the most important thing for us to do is to make haste, but make haste slowly enough so that we don't, throw away the records that Ellen needs. But we know that we need to let people know, at least people who are department heads and who work, and if there's stuff X place or Y place that you think is your department's, please let us know, so that we can evaluate what's, what
Sure.
looks like it's been.
Yeah, kind of approach that, take photographs,
Yeah,
mhm.
and then distribute those photographs electronically, obviously,
yeah. and if
to our
you-
departments, and say,
Is
if
it
there's
yours?
anything in here that is yours and you wish to recover, please do so, and then if
Yeah.
it's not responded to, we know that what's there is not needed and is
Yes, right.
surplus
Right.
Mhm.
or junk.
And do you think Mass Municipal has any information on sort of maintenance and operations? Do they have a group of people that they might recommend, or a grant that somebody's written?
Yeah, I'm sure we can find
Go,
something.
go through there?
We, maybe the Community Compact
Yeah.
Grant Program
Okay,
has a model that's been used by other communities,
Okay.
small communities,
Yeah.
for facilities management.
right.
So that's one step that I would look at, is
Okay.
Community Compact.
But when Ellen points out the number of buildings we do have, because I keep thinking of the 2, 3 biggies, but then you get the senior center, and you've got fire stations, and so on and so forth. Yeah, yeah. Okay, anyone else have any other comments? I would look for a motion to adjourn.
I'd move to adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn, seconded that motion, and those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, we're adjourned.